What's going on, everybody? This is Nick Lawson from Squad Sports. We're really excited to be supporting the Free Agent Friday series. A lot of great talent out there. Without further ado, this is the next free agent you should be signing with your sports team.
We're back for another Free Agent Friday, and today I've got David Anderson with me. How's it going, David?
I'm doing excellent. How are you, Andrew?
Doing good, thank you. Thanks for joining me. If you can, let's start off with your schooling. Where'd you go to college, and any degrees, internships that you had there?
Yeah, I finished my undergraduate at the University of St. Thomas in St. Paul. It's a great business school, and that's why I ended up there in the end. So ended up with a business marketing degree there. And while I was there, I played hockey as well. I was the backup to the backup goaltender for the most part. 4 years of hockey in general in college to play one game. But I like being around the team. It was fun. I like sport. I love all those aspects of it. So it was a small sacrifice, I guess you could say, to be able to have that experience.
Well, goaltenders, man, are a special breed. I can tell you that. In any, I've noticed it in soccer, hockey for sure. I mean, there's no way I would sit in there and take hockey pucks flying at me. I couldn't do it. So I give you props for that.
There are definitely a few times it hurts, or it hurt, or still hurts. Yeah. But really, in the end, you have to, as a goalie, you have to learn to be able to bounce back from things and not let things affect you and just keep going. I think that's a great trait of goalies in whatever sport you play.
Yeah. And I think just, being in a team sport helps in the business world. That's one thing I look for a lot is, are you a former athlete? Just because of the team being competitive, all those things that help on the business side. Now, did you grow up in Minnesota?
Yep, born and raised.
So you had to do hockey. It's kind of like
yeah,
the thing, peanut butter and jelly. So, so did you play pretty much most of your life then?
I actually ended up starting 3 years later than everybody did hockey. So I got going a little bit late, and I like to make fun of my dad a little bit and say, if you only would have just started me when I'm supposed to start with everybody else, maybe I'd be playing pro. But I played most of my life, and what I did do is play other sports. I think it's really important for people to not only just sample a lot of things, but just become good at a lot of different things and be athletic overall, but just be well-rounded in general. I think that's a pretty important attribute of people.
Yeah, definitely.
Kids.
Definitely. How about let's kind of walk through your resume a little bit. When you got out of school, what was, where'd you end up, and walk me through?
So actually, when I got out of school, I had worked for the park board in Minneapolis at a golf course for years, and saw that they were having an issue and saw a need actually within the park and rec board. So I made a proposal to them about how to invigorate and operate their concession operations differently around the lakes, all the major lakes in Minneapolis, and they accepted that. So I actually started that and was essentially their first contractor within the Park and Rec Board. And to date, that model is still being used. They've taken it to a whole new level.
Nice.
Afterwards in all these years, and it's pretty awesome. They have some pretty awesome restaurants there now, run by contractors. Kind of changed their business model.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So once you got there, was Pointstreak next, or when did Pointstreak come in?
So I spent a little bit of time in a more formal environment as a store manager with Caribou. So I have that retail background again, to that face-to-face regular customer service. But then, I was looking at stats one day, something I've always done. Statistics, I love them. Grew up, looking at the backs of baseball cards and hockey cards and all that kind of stuff. And I just ate that up. And I was looking at USHL stats one day, big junior league in the United States for hockey, and saw that they had a job opening in sales. Before you know it, one thing led to another, and I was working for Pointstreak. And that was right at the threshold of real-time data in general, real-time statistics. We were the pioneers in that. I mean, literally the NHL didn't even have real-time statistics, and we created that there in Pointstreak, and I was one of the early ones there. So it was a lot of fun watching that grow, and started in a sales role. Actually sold to and helped implement stats in high school hockey in Minnesota. So that was their first statistical platform, and they're using that to date with another platform by this point. But I got them going with that, and grew into a broader role on the implementation side and the content management systems, the websites that you can build yourself, and online registrations, and product support and tier 2 support. And just took that and grew and started really building out my operational background even more, having to know all sorts of different pieces of the business and how they work together, and so forth.
Yeah, no, I mean, that sounds like you had a lot going on there. And I remember about that time, because I want to say I used Pointstreak maybe in 2007-ish.
Okay.
And it was the hottest thing. It was the best stats program, out there. Was really nothing even competing with it from that standpoint. At least in the, in the area that I was in. So I like.
Yeah, there was nothing like it, and we took it and we grew it into like professional organizations too, on the baseball side, on the football side. Spent a lot of time with a lot of those smaller leagues, or newer leagues in some cases, a lot of minor professional organizations too. I spent a lot of time with people like that, and just to help get their product out there, right? Help. That's in the end what it does. It helps market what they do. So
how did it go? So from Pointstreak, you spent a little time with Daktronics. What were you working on there?
Yeah, so that actually coincided with a lot of the stuff we were doing with Pointstreak. We white labeled some software through Daktronics. So that type of software is the software that powers all of the statistics on the video boards that you see pretty much anywhere and everybody, anywhere across the world.
Yeah.
And I learned that software, trained people on that software, helped implement people on that software of ours. And frankly, at the time of Pointstreak, we were still a relatively small Canadian company, and I had a growing family and a need for insurance, frankly, and benefits. So I just started exploring a little bit by need, and Daktronics said, hey, we have a great job as a trainer here. The software, the platform, events. How would you like to come on and do that? So I joined them, and that's what I was. I was a product trainer and consultant. I took that handoff from all the different teams within Daktronics, and then went on site with the customers and learned what they wanted to do, what their goals were with their system within the stadiums and the venues, and train them on the platform and help them get going in their first live event or two. So it was a ton of fun. We had a lot of great experiences, met a lot of great people, and it's just such live events. They're so cool and they're so powerful. It was just it was neat. It was a great experience.
Were you dealing with a lot of the same customers you were working with from Pointstreak when you jumped over?
I spent most of my time in the collegiate world, and a little bit in the minor pros. So we had a little bit of overlap there, not a ton, but the same overall environment. Yes.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. And then you went back to Pointstreak. How'd that come about?
I did. So
did they get insurance at that point?
They were able to help out with that, actually. Yeah. So that was a big part of why I came back. But they actually had just purchased a company that was taking paper raffling. So the 50-50 raffles you see practically everywhere now in the sports world. They took paper raffling and made it electronic. We were the pioneers in that. And at the time, they had a small amount of customers, a couple dozen customers, and they're like the junior leagues that you see throughout Canada. and a couple major professional organizations in the States as well. And they need somebody to help them grow, right? Help them become more professional. So I took all that experience from before and helped make not only the platform, but the training materials and the support that we offered and the implementations and the implementation team. We made that professional, and we helped them take that platform and allow it to grow. And that industry is what it is today because of what we did. So I spent a lot of time doing that. And then I also helped out on the sales side as well. Not only in helping make, fit proposals, if you will, but really going on site myself and going on site with whether it was somebody like the Philadelphia Flyers or Pittsburgh Penguins or Phoenix Coyotes or teams like those, helped train their staff. I helped implement their staff, and then we would strap on handhelds ourselves, right? So I can't even count the amount of events that I've been at where I've helped by strapping on a handheld after working with the volunteers and training that group to be able to go out and sell, but then you had to go and lead too. So I swept through a lot of events, selling 50/50s for various causes, whatever they were, and just learning what they're about, and then turning that into something when we're going into the stadium and convincing people to sell, why they should do it. Of course it's fun, right? But they're also helping out a really good cause too. And the 3 years that I spent with them was the most fulfilling time of my professional career, being able to help all those nonprofits and the missions that they belong in. And it didn't hurt that in a span of 6 months I was working the CFL Grey Cup and the Winter Classic at Ann Arbor, and then the Major League Baseball All-Star Game.
Yeah,
so
pretty cool events,
some pretty massive events that we had to do everything that we could to help them be as successful as possible given the environment too. So
those are cool. I just remember I would go to a lot of Lightning games down in Tampa.
Oh yeah.
And man, they it's like the money that you see they raise, because I was on the board for a nonprofit down there, and I want to say we were one of the recipients one of the games, and it was substantial. So that's really evolved.
Yeah, for sure. The Lightning themselves were huge. I mean, they were averaging at the time I left about $20,000 a game, so about $1 a head. And like a lot of the other organizations, people had never seen it before, right? So you would have some games where you would have $2,000 in sales because nobody knew about it, but you just went out there and you worked hard and you just kept doing it and finding new ways to connect with people through the video board marketing or through the public address announcing and stuff like that. And now it's a part of the culture in America, like it was in Canada too for years before that. So it's been pretty awesome to watch.
You see it up on like the LED ribbon or the video board where it's just continuing to go up. So it's like, oh, okay, I better get one of those now. That's,
I can't watch a game
pay
now.
My car off.
I can't watch a game now without looking for that and seeing where the sellers are and how the jackpot's going and how well of a job that they did integrating it with their game day presentation. Yeah.
That's how I am with signage. Yes. I go into an arena or stadium and I'm looking at who's advertising with the team. And then I try to figure out all the revenue they brought in that day from concessions. It's my curse. I can't help it. It's hard to enjoy. But it's fun.
Yeah.
So when you left Pointstreak, where'd you go?
So I went to a company they're now called Aspira, because they had broken off on the outdoors side from Active. So Active Network is, they were like a Pointstreak, essentially. They, were big online registration people. So marathons, triathlons, youth sports, all that kind of stuff. A lot of the same stuff we did with Pointstreak. They had an opportunity as a senior manager of client services to come on board. I actually, I wanted to continue to grow. myself professionally, and was looking to actually pivot into the technology world of like a Christian type mission. And they had an opportunity there with Active at the time. And they said, sorry, actually, we just gave it, or they had what was appeared to be an opportunity, but we want you to join on this side of things. And it's the outdoor recreation side of things. Would you be interested in that? And I thought, yeah, that'd be an absolutely fantastic opportunity. So I was brought on by Active / Aspira now to manage as a general manager of a lot of large government or state and local based contracts. So if anybody buys a fishing license these days, or a hunting license these days, or a campground reservation or a cabin reservation, that was us. So I managed those large contracts, and while I was the main primary face-to-face person with the client, and managed that overall relationship and helped not only the relationship grow, but sales. Ideally, we were helping those grow as well through the addition of new products and services and so forth. But we did that by working through as liaisons for both teams, right? So internally and externally, as senior client services managers, myself and my partners, we had to learn all the business. We had to learn all the complexities of the technology, of all the different arms of the organization. We worked, while we were de facto project managers, we also worked with the PMO office. And while we were de facto product managers, we worked with the product specific team. We worked with the executives. We worked with the development teams and the application support team, and all those different teams that helped make the contract and the product successful for not only the end users and all those people managing the reservations and their license purchases out there, but our government contracts as well, that had an image to uphold to the residents of their state and to their legislators and frankly their governor's offices too.
Wow, I mean, it sounds like you got a great background. What is kind of the ideal position you're looking for now?
Well, I love being able to work with all different kinds of the business. So if ideally, I'm touching all those different parts. I see myself in the end at some point of being somebody like a CEO and an overall operations head. But if I'm touching clients, if I'm touching development, if I'm touching project management, or working directly in any of those different roles, maybe product as well, I'd be happy. I think that's a great opportunity for me to be able to use my skill sets as a whole together. So, and on top of that, I'd love to just really just jump in further into building my skill set even more formally as well. So if somebody's open to allowing people further educational opportunities, that would be great. Since I was laid off, I've tried to do my best to use my time wisely by making use of Coursera on their online platform. I finished one of the data scientists, going back to statistics and my love of that, right? One of their certificate programs in data science. I'm taking in my next level of that right now, and that's data science in our programming. And hope to continue planning on diving into more formal training as well that way too. So would love to have that opportunity.
What would you say is the biggest asset that you bring to the table for a new position?
Oh, I outside of being, that's a tough one, going between being personable and, just being able to communicate with anybody, whether they're an executive or an individual contributor or somebody at a manager level, or even somebody who's a volunteer. I have that ability to communicate with anybody and everybody, and I love people, and I love, learning about people and what makes them tick and how they work. So there's that. And on top of that too, big picture, I really feel like I have a strong ability to always consider the big picture of what's going on. I think by nature, I'm like that, but also professionally, the roles I've always had, I've always had to, work in that environment where, everything you do, over here has an effect over here and over here and over here. And so being able to understand those relationships throughout not only your company, but the external companies you're touching to, or people or clients, I think that's my other biggest asset.
What's the area you need to work on the most?
Oh man, I do love being creative and coming up with concepts and ideas and ways to innovate and ways to enhance things. So if I have a fault, I think it's sometime, well, everybody has faults. I certainly have faults, but I think, really, I think it's maybe getting on a tangent, if you will, like that, maybe a little too often. So sometimes I think I need to rein myself in with that.
All right. Last one is I need a fun personal fact about you.
Fun personal fact.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of people think my wife and I overpopulate the world because we have 4 kids, and they wonder how we get by. I don't think it's that much. I think it's a lot of fun. We have 4 kids, 16 and under, and it is.
What are the ages?
They are 16, 14, 11, almost 12 in a couple weeks, and 9. So we have 2 teenagers and 2 will be high schoolers.
Ooh, that's going to be rough.
And beyond that, I'm a scorekeeper too. That's so on the professional side. On the side, I'm actually a scorekeeper for St. Paul Saints.
Baseball, right?
Yeah, baseball.
Okay.
Association team, and I've been doing that now for 7, 8 years. I think I lost track, and I do that just for fun. And it is a blast just to go and see a St. Paul Saints production, see the baseball, keep score. So I love doing that too. So I do that just for the heck of it.
Oh, that's cool. I've never been to a game up there, but I've heard some great stuff about the organization and all the fun that they have.
Yeah, their organization's amazing, and their game day production on their staff to watch them run is pretty impressive. And their ballpark is absolutely unbelievable. And for all the minor league ballparks that I'm in, not trying to offend anybody else, but right. It's also brand new too. But it's amazing. It's second to none.
Yeah. Well, David, I want to thank you for joining me. I know we didn't have a lot of time to really get into all your stuff, but I think it was a good overview, and I think you're gonna be landing on your feet here soon. So thanks again.
I think so too. Thank you, Andrew.